So much. Um, After that lovely introduction, thank you, Ali. I think we'll go to sharing, and I'll just leave it right there. I'm not going to ruin a good thing. Grateful to be here. My name is Peter, recovered alcoholic. And first things first, thank you, Olis, for reaching out to me and having me back here. And always good to see so many faces. Ali, you know how I feel about you. It's great to be here. You were talking earlier about how long you guys have been out here. And I remember, if not the first meeting, one of the first, and I think Darren Davis was the speaker, or I think that was him on here. And you had like 500 people out here. And back then, no one took their cameras off because you're all curious about what's this format. And so you guys have done an incredible amount of service in keeping it this strong for that long. As another member in AA, thank you for your service. Great stuff. And I've been to your events up in Toronto. They were a blast. They're absolutely wonderful. And as a speaker, I'm always well taken care of. So a heartfelt thanks to everyone. June 23rd, 1988 is when God gave me a sober date, separated me from alcohol, and I'm very grateful for that gift of sobriety. I do have a sponsor. His name is Bob Bazana out of St. Paul, Minnesota. And I do have a home group, and that's called No Problems, Just Solutions here in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida. We meet tomorrow night at 7:30. And it's one of the bright spots of my life being a member of this group. It's wonderful. It's a 7:30 kickoff, and we're there around 6:30. And when the meeting ends, no one heads for the doors. It's the music before and after the meeting. That we get to hear. It's absolutely lovely. And I sponsor a whole bunch of men as well. And most of them are down here. I have a few long distance guys. The fellowship here, when I first got here was new. I'm from the Northeast and I was used to that rhythm. And it took me a little time to adjust to the South Florida rhythm and some of the folks. And I must tell you, I'm so excited. The fellowship here is absolutely wonderful. What we get to experience, and you got some road dogs that travel with you, and you get to really get intimate with folks, and it's pretty special. And the reading, I want to do the reading again, and I'll see where God takes us here. It says on page 105 in the 12 and 12, we know that when we turn to Him, all will be well with us here and hereafter. And just to get going, last Tuesday, I was sitting in the hospital. I had surgery on Tuesday morning, something called a heart ablation. And because I experienced AFib a year ago, I thought I was having a heart attack. And so I've been on this medication. And last Tuesday in the morning, they performed the surgery. I'm sore as the son of a gun right now. And I got this thing called a loop monitor in there for the next 3 months. And I feel like, remember the $6 million man, Lee Majors? I feel a little bit like him. And it's really uncomfortable, but the surgery went fine. My doctor told me it was easy. It's a half hour and then a 4 hour kind of cool off time, make sure there's no complications. And as it had, um, I don't want to place blame, but what we found out, the nurses who were tending to me made a huge mistake, and I had complications post surgery. I was supposed to go home in like 3 or 4 hours, and I was there overnight till late the next day, and it was bleeding, and just it was at this time last Tuesday, I was in a tremendous amount of pain, and so many folks down here were blowing up my phone. Just they didn't know. They were just asking, "How are you doing?" And it's a week later, and I'm still getting phone calls from people in my home group. Oh, you're going to be there Wednesday because I couldn't make it last Wednesday. And I really miss those days because when I first got sober, that was a common practice. If you didn't see a member in your home group there, they got a phone call the next day. Hey, everything okay? And so we do that, and I was just thrilled about it. Uh, Tuesday evening, I was sitting in a recliner, but I couldn't lean back. It was too painful. So I was sitting straight up, kind of like when you're on a plane and you can't move. And my wife was with me, and she lied down in the bed they give you, that really awful bed, and she fell asleep. And I knew she was okay because she was so exhausted. I'm sitting by the window, and I can't move without experiencing this awful pain. And the night came over me, and I wasn't looking at the clock waiting for daybreak when the doctor would get in there and fix me up, hopefully. What I did was I prayed. I was looking out the window and prayed. And it wasn't a full moon, but it was pretty big out there. And there was a moment in all this adversity, between my little 15, 20-minute cat naps, where all was well. And so that reading, although I selected it a while ago, was to really come to fruition. I've experienced lots of adversity. I'm sure many of us in this room have experienced adversity and recovery. If you're new, you will get adversity. It happens. And you could be doing all the right things, all the chopping wood and carrying water. But I didn't realize it at the time until I got home, and it was Wednesday evening, and I was lying in bed and I was finally out of pain. And I reflected on what took place Tuesday night, just talking to God and just asking for some mercy and just to be okay. The big thing was my health was okay. This was a little thing that went sour and they had to fix it. And I found refuge. I found an okayness. I found peace. I found no longer being alone. And what I did the next day, I had to answer a whole bunch of phone calls. There were a couple of conferences that were interested in having me, and I started returning these phone calls. And about 15 minutes into it, I'm chewing on a cigar. And my wife says, the doctor comes in, he's not going to really appreciate you doing this in the hospital. And I'm making some phone calls. And there's something St. Francis says about self forgetting. And it seems to be the more self forgetting I do, the better I am. But it doesn't mean self neglecting. In fact, when I forget about me and get me out of the way, I'm able to pack into the stream of life better. I can see clearer. My level for discernment is raised to a spiritual level as to where my priorities really are. I'm in pain. Okay, got it. Awful pain. I know the doctors are going to fix this. And I was kind of back in the saddle again. But Tuesday evening, it's really kind of one of those things only if you're in AA you'll get in this awful physical pain. And I got to tell you, a couple of weeks ago was the anniversary of my dad's passing, and I remember him being in a hospital bed with the same gown on and dying in a hospital. And trust me, that narrative ran through my head like my number's up here. I was, for the most part, able to stay away from that and reflect on Tuesday of the peace and okayness this loving God gave me. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what the heck is going on, except there's a lot of blood floating around in my body and I'm in pain. Please, somebody fix it. And they did. Thank God. So this is very special, whether it's things are going really well or things aren't going so well. There's only one place for me to turn, and that's in order to go out. The effort to seek my God will never go unrewarded. And I'm not talking about rewarded where I'm going to come into a windfall of cash. We're going to meet the love of our life. The reward is that special feeling we have in our soul that money can't touch, property can't touch, prestige can't touch, popularity can't touch. It's just being one with our Creator, and all is really okay, even in the midst of adversity. So once again, God said, why do you doubt me? I'm always here with you. So I need to turn in order to go out. If I don't turn in, I'll go without. I have found honoring and cooperating with God provides the best possible outcome for a drunk like me. Honoring and cooperating with God. That's what I need to do. As this one pastor had said to me, Peter, you need to participate, you need to cooperate, and you need to cultivate God wherever you go. And so my journey for it's a little over 5 years, I would say, has been it's been made abundantly clear to me. I'm a member of AA first and foremost, and I do my religious practice along with not never instead of. But my journey has been about how do I please him first? Because when I'm right with him, I'm okay with me, which means I'm going to be okay with you. That's my job. What can I do that pleases God? And I know I'm not going to do it right. Thomas Merton talks a lot about this. I'm going to miss it. I'm going to screw it up. But my intent on pleasing God pleases God. It's that simple. He doesn't make too hard turns for those who seek him. So it was a long way to get there. From my first drunk to where God removed it from me. I often say I was separated from alcohol. Our big book talks about being separated from alcohol for the last time because it had to be pulled away from me. As an alcoholic, I know I got the bottle in my hand. I know it's killing me and I can't let go. And God had to kind of peel my fingers off a bottle of whiskey. And then I had to deal with the real problem, which was me, because my alcoholism doesn't come in a bottle of whiskey. I quickly found that out during my first 6 months in recovery, where I was not okay. I was still dealing with, the restless, discontent, was putting it mildly. Bill's really gentle there. We go way past that. And the narratives in the head are brutal. They're just awful. I was sharing last night that one of the things, the defects that I dealt with as a kid, followed me right into AA, was this really awful opinion of myself, low self worth and anger. And I'd go from calm to rage in 2 seconds. That walked me right into AA, and I wasn't drinking. What I wasn't going to do with this, and what I do when I'm uncomfortable, I look to escape. I would look to escape through, food, sex, money, spending something to pull me away from me. And the only thing to get me away from me is God. And all I knew was about God. I had no experience with God. So knowledge is not what I need. That's not my problem. What my problem is lack of power. And thank God for Alcoholics Anonymous in all its mercy and the AAs who take time out to spend time with a guy like me who's counting days and give up an evening to sit and have a cup of coffee with me to show me their way of life. And God just got me desperate enough, quite frankly, and surrendered me enough to land in your lap. And you said, this is what you need to do next. And I will tell you, the beginning, my early days in AA, albeit I've had many sleepless nights and nights where I cried myself to sleep over some hardships, but the early days of AA felt like hardship and survival. I don't have a clue what I'm doing. I'm truly relying upon what you tell me to do to get through another day. I have no job. I have no money. There is no relationship. I'm hanging in there. And I had a sponsor, Mark Houston, that says, don't you ever, ever hang in there again. Not with the big book, not with the fellowship, and not with the glory of God. Those days are over. And I heard him. I heard him clear. So from picking up a drink at, 14 years old to landing where I was at 28 years old, going into my seventh treatment center at 28, tore up from the floor up. I weighed 130 pounds back then. I'm a little over 200 right now. Hepatitis C. I'm urinating blood. I got a lot of damage physically going on. And as far as the head goes, the mind, I'm traveling heavy because my mind owns me. It owned me. It told me how to see, what to see, how to hear, what to speak. I operated purely out of this broken instrument called the mind. Why we tell people, new people in AA, bring the body and the mind will follow, boggles my mind. It's the last page 62. When we look at page 62, it's about getting away from us, getting away from the self. It doesn't even talk about alcohol anymore because I'm my problem. My alcoholism doesn't come in a bottle of whiskey. So I walk into Alcoholics Anonymous at 28 years old, suffering from alcoholism, and I'm sober. I'm acting out in a million different ways. I developed this eating disorder that I kept under the rug for a while because I was embarrassed by it. And I'm binging and purging and binging and purging. I'm starting to get physically ill from it because I can't do life. I have no tools. And thank God for good sponsorship who got me really busy and took me to another fellowship to kind of arrest that thing a day at a time. What happened to me on my first drunk at 14 years old, I escaped. I got free of me. I got free of life because, quite frankly, and my story isn't the worst story, but for me, it's the worst story because it's mine. What I had been to up and what I'd been through up until 14 was horrific. A mom who committed suicide, a dad I don't want to be in the same room with because he wasn't nice to me growing up. We had talks about that, and later on in his life, he made his way of making amends. It was brutal. I was afraid of him. I was molested as a kid. I missed something. You know, my sponsor always says I cut class the day they handed out the pamphlet on how to do life. I missed, I didn't get that pamphlet. And I was, quite frankly, at 14 years old, petrified. Everything hurt. And I look back on it often and I was like a raw nerve in it. No 14-year-old kid should have that. No 14-year-old kid should find solace in a bottle of whiskey. But that's what many of, I've heard enough of your stories. That's what happens. And I found some kind of okayness in a bottle of drinking Colt 45 beer. It helped me escape all of this. The problem was you sober up and it's even worse. I drink to escape and I sober up and the problem's compounded. And I can't get away from me. I can't get away from me no matter what I do. I become my own enemy until I drink alcohol and that boomeranged in the end on me. And somewhere during that journey, by the time I was around, I don't know, 18-ish, I get into 18, 19, I walk into my first treatment center because I'm taking non-conference approved dry goods along with alcohol. It got me there quicker. Now, I was never the speed guy. I did that stuff, but I don't like my jaw in Philadelphia while I'm here. You know, we get that jaw goes over here, and we talk too much and say too much, and we wake up to next to very strange people. That's plural. Sometimes, you know, I remember being on that stuff, and I swore she looked like Bo Derek, and I'd come to next to Bo Diddley, and I'd say, "Oh Jesus, I did it again." Um, I like the stuff that numbed me out, and alcohol did it. Valium did it, and some narcotics did it. I got away from the narcotics. I could not, going into my fifth treatment center, I didn't return to narcotics. I could not get away from alcohol and pills, no matter what I did. I swear them off. I make promises. I walk into a church and light a candle. No matter what I did, I returned. I had to. And towards the end, quite frankly, I needed some medical attention because you guys know what I'm talking about. You want to stay away, but your body starts to do this, and you start to get sick, and you're starting to to withdrawals, and you need a couple of pops to take the edge off. And then once I do that, I'm back again, game on. And by the time I got to my fifth treatment center, my family wanted nothing to do with me. My dad would lay down his life, rest his soul for me and my brothers. My grandparents are the most loving, you know, folks in the world. They'd invite us all in for dinner. I mean, they were just from the old school. And my brothers, you know, and I had this wonderful relationship. But by the time I get into my fifth treatment center, no one wants to touch me. Because if I'm in your house, I'm going to steal. And if you're around me, I'm going to cause problems. And I wasn't a tough guy. I didn't carry weapons. I wasn't that guy. But if I was in your company, I left you black and blue by the time I got away from you. And something was missing. the jewelry or money would be taken. I do that. I borrow money and not pay. So they kind of close doors off on me. And quite frankly, no woman in her right mind would date me. I mean, I was friendly with women, but they were doing what I was doing. I was in the street. I was in the life. I remember when I first got sober, and I went to a meeting in Minnesota. This meeting called Three Legacies, and everyone looked shiny and glossy and proper. And I remember, this is going to sound ridiculous, but the women there, most of them had skirts and had pocketbooks. I didn't see women like this on the street. I saw homeless women who didn't have pocketbooks or jobs. They were just like me. And now they had manicures and their hair was done and makeup. I says, what planet did I land on? This is completely different. Everyone looks so clean. And I wanted to be like that. Um, when I got out of my fifth treatment center, after a long stay there, it took me 2 days to return back to what I was doing. And that was drinking again. And when I drink, I continue to drink because I get stuck in the craving, and I like to eat pills when I do that. It's so important for me. Again, I speak for myself on this journey God has me, the spiritual walk we do in Alcoholics Anonymous. It is so important for me not to do it in a not come at anyone, and God will give me the emotion to do it, but to talk about God, to talk about God in Alcoholics Anonymous, to talk about what He's done for me, what I couldn't do for myself. Because when I stop talking about what has worked for me, I will stop believing in what has worked for me. So I need to keep that up front. And I quite frankly, even when I get a new guy in front of me and they're counting days, I'm not hiding God in the closet from them. I'm not going to preach to them and I'm not going to hit them over the head with a big book, but I'm going to tell them this is the solution. This is the journey you're about to embark on. It's walking hand in hand with God, and us members in AA are about to change your life. Something you can't even fathom at this point. And I'll go out on a limb here. And most of us who are around a while in this room, if we think about where we are sitting this evening and how we got in here, those are two different people. I would go way beyond bristle with antagonism. If you mentioned the carpenter to me or the God word, I'd start going to war with you. I never doubted their existence, but what the heck did they ever do for me? And now that's changed. See, I can't, I, we tell stories in AA, what it was like, what happened, what it's like now, but they're stories. They don't really adequately describe what happened. And when it comes to God, there's no adjective that can adequately describe God. I can't communicate God to you, but He will communicate through me. If I really believe in what I'm saying and I really believe in Him and what He's done for me, then that will come across. I don't have to worry about that. But on my own, how do I communicate with a new person? This loving God has transformed my life. Those are words to Him. But something happens when it comes from here and not from here. We know a lot of speakers who speak from here. Very impressive. Have a nice day. I'm going to another meeting. And then we get speakers who don't have to quote the big book, but they talk from the soul. And Bill says, speak from the heart and touch the heart. They got us. There's a guy who I think the world of. There's a couple of them. Ralph W. from LA and Don from Washington. These two guys speak. They could be reading the phone book, and I'm all over it. I'm in. They got me because they come from here. That's just God operating in our life. I walk into my sixth treatment center and I walked out after 36 hours. The pain was just too great. The emotional pain, not the physical pain, I was beat up, but the emotional pain and the realization of what I have done to my life up until this point was too overwhelming. I couldn't, Big Book says we tell you how we got out from under. I had no clue how to get out from under. This is it. I bit off way more than I can chew, and I'm better off I just die. And when I walked out, I was in some flea bag motel in a place called Staten Island, New York, where I tried to take my life. I wanted out. And that's what us as alcoholics look like. We get to a place where suicide is a good way to go. That becomes a solution. I've heard enough of your stories. Isn't that an awful, pitiful place to be where I'm willing to make the supreme sacrifice because I can't face another day? And the idea of getting sober is so far from me. It's not going to happen for me. Let's just pull the plug on this and hope for the best in the next life. And God kept interrupting my death over and over and over again. I had to look. There's a gentleman named James Finley, and he says we have to take a look at the bankruptcy of our strategies. That is brought to me. I couldn't figure that out on my own. And that happened on June 23rd, 1988, when I'm living in an abandoned building in the back of a hallway. And I got up off the floor to go get panhandle money to get whiskey in the liquor store. And I collapsed on the floor and it changed. And part of that moment was realizing the only place I can go to is back to the same power who I despise, and that's God, because everything I come up with doesn't work. I have no more strategy. I have nothing left. It's empty. The bank account is now zero. That's not a good place to be. It's a necessary place to be, where desperation screamed louder than the ego. For a brief moment, God kind of opened me up in there, and suddenly he's thinking for me. And that was to go call my dad, the only guy on the planet who's going to come get me. And I went to the phone to collect phone calls, and I would well up and just, I can't bother them, hang up the phone. And my dad was awakened around 2:30 in the morning earlier that day, and he had a message given to him to go find me. And he made his way back from Atlantic City, New Jersey to the Lower East Side of Manhattan and found me standing on a street corner that day. You cannot tell me that God doesn't work in our life and connects dots. When the intent is there and it's sincere and we make a plea to God, he will show up. Not necessarily follow my script, because my script has a bad ending, but his script, which is going to make me uncomfortable. I'm going to question some things, but he's showing up like the cavalry, and he did. He's done it for over 37 years now. Just when I thought the gates were going to close in on me and I can't pay the rent or I'm not going to get a job or whatever it might be, light shows up. So I walk into my 37th treatment center, and I'm 28 years old. Um, uh, and I spent about, I don't know, almost 2 weeks, 10 days, 12 days in this place in Long Island. I was there 6 previous times. So people thought I got a job in the place. I mean, I was there all the time. The orderlies knew me, the shrinks knew me. I knew where the group rooms were. And the bad thing was I had too much knowledge, because when they would do the little groups in treatment, I knew what to say. I knew how to manipulate around the therapist, and that's not good. So they shipped me out to Minnesota, and I got an education, better than an Ivy League school. Although Ivy League, who wants to go to Ivy League nowadays? They're crazy. But anyway, it's an outside issue. Sorry. I got an education uh, for life when I was in Minnesota, and the education I got was how to connect with God. Where do I start? I just knew I wanted to be like you. I wanted to dress like you. I wanted to sound like you. I wanted to wear a watch like some of the men would wear a watch. I thought that was like incredible that men could wear a watch. I would steal watches. I was so impressed by men who were married and wore their wedding bands. I thought that was just the coolest thing in the world. In the environment I grew up, the men that my dad hung around, none of them wore wedding rings. It was a sign of weakness. So when I saw men wear wedding rings, I thought it was something really cool. And so I gratefully wear a watch that I paid with my own money and a wedding ring that my wife put on my finger. And it's little gifts like that that I sleep good at night. I mean, my wife went to a meeting earlier. She's listening inside. And when this is over, we're going to sit down and have dinner like we always do together. I've been overpaid in Alcoholics Anonymous. I have a little terrace out here where this new place we moved into. It's a nice view. We're up on the sixth floor. It's beautiful. And a couple of days ago, it was raining out, and it was Sunday. And Sundays were my worst days out there when I was out there. Sundays were just a bad day consistently. And it was Sunday and it was drizzling. And I have this overhead. I'm sitting out on the terrace and watching the rain fall. And I realized this is not a bad day anymore. I love Sundays. So I'm about to go to Mass in a couple of hours and give thanks to my Lord and get to a meeting that night because my wife was speaking Sunday night and it's raining. I'm safe. I'm sober. I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. There's food in the refrigerator. The cupboard is full. I'm self supporting through my own contributions and the surgery went well. Thank you, God, and AA. I've been way overpaid. I have a calendar that's pretty full. People invite me to come, to their conference. That makes no sense. But in God's world, it makes perfect sense. So, this reading, to get back to this reading, because I'm sure I'm almost out of time here. You guys are being really kind. Let me go on and on here. I'll read it one more time. When we know that when we turn to Him, all will be well with us here and hereafter. Now, as far as the hereafter goes, I'm not looking to go anywhere. I kind of dig it here, but there's going to be a time when God's going to say, "Let's move on," and I'm convinced my dad's in a very happy place, probably hanging out with my mom. And there's some really neat folks up there. So there's a part of me that as much as I don't want to go, I'm not ready to go. Um, I don't want to leave my wife behind and things like that. But I know who I'm meeting, and I know I'm going to be okay. And it makes this journey, while my feet are on the ground, that much more grateful. That much more. I don't want to harbor any bad feelings towards anyone. It's way too short. I just want to hold on to this. And there's certain people in this room when I get to see them either in person or here on Zoom, I want to reach in and give you a hug and say I love you because I may never get that opportunity. And this is important stuff. We have a big book and we have steps and we have our traditions and we have our concepts. They're all really vital stuff. But I can't get so involved with that I miss you. I can't get so involved with my job and the money and the this and the that I miss life that God has given me. When I go to Publix, I want to be nice to people. That's what AA taught me. That's what pleases God. I don't want to be an AA angel and a house devil. I haven't raised my voice to my wife. I can't remember the last time I got loud with my voice. I couldn't do it. I'm much bigger than her. I mean, what a bully. I haven't raised my voice. I take no credit for that. It's God gives me a peaceful heart on most days. When the Yankees lose baseball games, I am not spiritual. Trust me. Um, but yeah, God's been good. AA is great. And I just love this life being a part of AA. I mean, we're blessed, man. Live meetings, Zoom meetings, we got meetings, and we're never alone. So, anyway, thank you, folks, for having me. That's all I got. Peace.
Thank you for that. My question is, can you remember or pinpoint generally a time when you made the decision, because it feels like a decision to me, where you, on that bridge of reason, the leap to the shore of faith, where that's it, that's it. I've got to give it all to God or I'm not going to survive.
Um, I just want to turn up my hearing aid. Just give me a half a second here so I can hear, because I'll start reading lips through Zoom, and that's not good. Um, okay, I can hear much better now. Um, I've been asked that question often, and live life forward and understand it backwards. There were times in really early recovery where my praying was pleading. I knew something was out there and I need to hook into that. But quite frankly, it was June 23rd of 88 in my worst condition, where up until that point, if you talk to me about God, I push right back. I get angry. I was never an atheist. I knew there was something out there, but he's not kind and loving, and he's got me in his crosshairs. But what happened on June 23rd, 88, that very same God I had mocked, despised, quite frankly, spat at a few times, was the very same God I begged, please take me from this. I don't want to die. Something in here, not here, said there's something out there, and I need it now more than anything in the world. And I look back on it, and that was the door that finally opened. And I didn't open it. It says knock, and the door will open. It doesn't say knock and turn the handle. It says knock, and the door will open. And the door opened enough for me to see some daylight, and it was the beginning of a new journey for me.
Thank you for the question, Pat, and Peter, thank you for the response. Rebecca, you are up next. Becca, you're up next.
Hi, family. Beck Alcoholic. Peter, thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. And it was you were up here in Maryland at the Southern Maryland Roundup, so it was great to see you in person. But what are you reading these days as far as your books that keep you on this path?
Sure. I have Thomas Merton, New Seeds of Contemplation. I have James Finley. I'd probably breaking traditions here and endorsing outside stuff. James Finley, Merton's Palace of Nowhere. This is fabulous. I have a book called Interior Freedom by, I can't pronounce his name, probably Jacques Philippe. This is tremendous information. Great book. Hold on. I got a whole bunch more here. I have, here it is. This book is real challenging. I go really slow with it, but man, oh man, has it done a lot for me. He's a German author, Transformation in Christ. And I have a bunch more. Those are my hot books right now. And I'm pretty much, when I travel, they go in my duffel bag. They're with me. But Thomas Merton, New Seeds is by far for me a book that just makes sense to me. Although he can be all over the place sometimes, it's just wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And we absolutely encourage our speakers to share the text that they are reading, not just conference approved. So thank you for being generous with that. Marissa, it's always good when you put your hand up. Please come in.
Hi, everyone. Marissa May, alcoholic. Thank you so much, Peter, for your share tonight. I have a question about when you said that you had too much knowledge and you were able to manipulate and kind of dance around the therapist. Were there moments in that time where people pulled your covers or held the mirror up to you or kind of called you on that? And any ones of note?
Yeah, in treatment, bless their hearts, the counselors there. I had her name was Lucinda when I was in Minnesota. She says, "You're not speaking for the rest of your stay here." She put me on silent contract. And when I got to my first sponsor, 7 treatment centers, I learned quick. And he'd hear me pontificating from the floor in an AA meeting. And he called me in the kitchen. When a sponsor does this, you're in trouble. And he set me straight on that. That knowledge in the wrong hands becomes dangerous. You need to listen more and speak less. And so I'm glad they called me on that stuff. Yeah.
Jeanette, I don't see you. Are you with us? While we're waiting for Jeanette to up, there you are. Okay, come on in, Jeanette.
Hi, my name is Jeanette. I'm alcoholic. Thank you so much for everyone's service, and thank you, Peter, for a great message. You said you stayed in abandoned buildings. You know, I did too. Yeah, but while you were staying there, did you ever occur to you that it could have been torn down? I know for me, I went to prison. When I came back, the building was torn down, and a new building was put there, a service to the community. And I felt like God had kept that building up long enough for me to get out of it and stay out of it. And so something else could be done with it. Did you ever feel like that when you was in those abandoned buildings?
I just, I felt like when I would have these moments of clarity that it was hell on earth for me. I couldn't believe I wound up here. And what's really frightening, there were moments where I felt, well, this isn't too bad. At least I'm not outside where I can get, shot or stabbed or something. But it was hell on earth for me. That I remember clearly.
Peter, I'm going to take the liberty because we don't have hands. The last time that you were here, you and Ralph shared for our 4th anniversary. And I believe it was at that meeting you said, not freedom for me, freedom from me.
Correct.
And it really aligns with your reading for tonight, that it's really not about me, it's about turning to God. Will you talk a little bit more about that notion that I'm not seeking for me, I'm seeking from
Sure,
you?
thank you. When I was new, and that doesn't mean I'm immune from this, but it was about, I need me time. I need to get my serenity. I need to get this and I need to have that. And I need to acquire this so I can feel free. By the way, freedom very often we're seeing it happening around the globe. My freedom is based on you doing what I tell you to do, because if you don't, you're a bad person. We see that going on. But really, what it's about is real freedom, I have found, is by getting space between me and what we call the self. Our book talks about manifestations of self. Those are all the people, all the roles, all the narratives that tell me I should have this, I need, I gotta have, I want, and when I get this, I'll be okay. I gotta get far away from that. So the freedom I seek is not for me. What the heck do I know about what I need? The very things I think I need might be the things that are going to hurt me, but I get far away from me. And I get away from me, which means there's less of me, which means there's a lot more God.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I know you guys don't see it, but Ralph White put his hand up.
Here he is.
My name is Ralph, and I'm an alcoholic. And Pete, thank you. Marion sent me a text the day that you came out, and you have been on the prayer line, sir. We have been praying ceaselessly. Question. You've been doing this a long time. Damn, I got my TV on in the background. I hope it's not too loud for you guys. What would you say has been your saving grace? What's your go-to? I know in all these years, all the things that have happened in your life, the ups, the downs, the low spots and the trials, what do you say? It can be one, it can be three, an unfailing thing that Peter Marinelli hangs his hat on that has been serve you in good stead through everything in your 37 plus years.
The carpenter, first and foremost. This is my prayer room, and I've cried in here. I've laughed in here, and I've had conversations with God in every place I've lived. AA and all the friendships, and holding my wife real close when I'm not sure where to go. When my dad was alive, he was the Newt Rockney guy, where you felt like Rocky Five after you got done speaking with him. No matter how bad it was, when you got done speaking with him, you just let's go. But he's no longer here. So people like you, Ralph, the fellowship, my God, and my wife.
Thank you for the question, Ralph. Thank you for letting me pick on you, and thank you, Peter. AA member 97, you are up.
Hello, I'm Mike B. I'm grateful recovering alcoholic. Sobriety date 9/9/97. And Peter, thanks for your share. Man, I always like to catch your meetings, man. It's just something, you're that eclectic few that I see that brings it like you do. But I remember you once said one thing I've always been wondering about for maybe a couple of years. It's like you said that you felt so bad when you were out there. And you said it was like it was no return. But you said your dad came and looked for you and he found you. And you said that you felt so bad about how bad you had done and everything. But you said that you found a level of peace that you have never even felt when your dad held you. Can you explain a little more about that type of peace?
Thank you.
I can. I'll try. Safe for the first time in my whole life. I felt safe. For me, my dad was bigger than life. He was a tough guy. And I saw how he handled life. He never blinked first. And I knew if you're in a foxhole, you're getting out. And so when I collapsed and he was holding me up close, I felt safe. It was a new feeling for me. I knew it was over. And that's where the peace came from. It's over. I don't know where I'm going, but this part is over. And thanks to people like you, I'm here tonight to talk about that and share gratitude for this sacred, very sacred fellowship called Alcoholics Anonymous. Yeah.
Peter, thank you for always saying yes when I reach out to you. We're so